let's quickly get into the good stuff. This is a Bryan Danielson versus Minoru Suzuki. This match was announced. This came out of nowhere.
Like just for Tony Khan to show his muscles against commercial-free SmackDown, if you will, or supersized SmackDown, if you will. So this was like, and it was free of charge on YouTube. Like you just had to log into YouTube and just watch the match. You didn't have to pay for any any TV show or something. So it was like a great service to the fans themselves. And boy oh boy, what a match this was!
And it's a kind of a bummer that this was on YouTube and not on TV or pay-per-view.
It was again I can't complain if you're watching this for free.
Yeah, that makes sense as a viewer. But this match, they delivered on all promises. If there was any promises for this match.
Hands down.
And listen, this is going to be a hot take from me, and I don't think it's a fair comparison, but I'm going to go for it. This gave me vibes of Samoa Joe versus Kenta Kobashi for some reason.
Yes, it was in that line of comparison, you could say, but wow, what a match!
I think this is going to be somewhere beneath those match of the year contenders, if I'm not wrong.
You could say that, like, it's right up there. For even for me, like, I'd say, this was one of my favorite matches of the year. I'll probably have to give it a rewatch once again. And yeah.
So Suzuki makes his entrance first. Then Danielson is super over with the yes chants. And they didn't. The match didn't even begin, and we see holy shit chants. Like from the get-go, you're hyped. So
yes, and Danielson was before we start. Like Danielson was milking the crowd so bad during his entrance. Like he's just standing on all turnbuckles. He's going, yes, not him, yes, but he was just doing this, and the crowd was chanting, yes, yes, yes. Later, that turned into C because Spanish.
And is it? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the same guy who wrestled Roman Reigns and main evented WrestleMania? And wrestled Kenny Omega in the same year?
Yes, he was. He is. And yeah, there's less words to be said about Bryan Danielson in general. Yeah.
So he went from main eventing WrestleMania, Roman Reigns, a great match with Kenny, and he was wrestling Suzuki in 1 year.
Yeah, exactly. Like in 6 months, like in half a year, you could say.
Oh my God, man.
He was marking out during the match while like he was standing face to face with Suzuki, and Suzuki was asking him to lay it on me, and Danielson was just smiling. He couldn't stop smiling. Like he's having the dream, like he's having a dream run so far, and it's only been like a month since he signed to AEW, a month and a half, I should say.
At the rate he's going, he's right now he's going to be the top 10 guy in the industry when 2022 comes around.
Yes, and the people have already been clamoring for him to face Kenny for the title already. While his run is white hot with the crowd, he's like super over, and obviously he's over. He's like one of the legends of the business. But I mean, you can't ask for anything more when it comes to Bryan Danielson. He's just legendary.
And before we get into the highlights, let's talk about Suzuki, man. The Suzuki US tour, like everyone calls about it. Even I kind of made Mike Bennett emotional on Twitter a couple of hours ago. He was marking out that I pitched the idea of him and Suzuki, so that was great to watch.
I was jealous of that because, like, you have such wrestlers that you have great love for, even if they're not very like big stars, but they are good in their respective rights or great even, and you have like a certain soft corner for them. Mike Bennett is like one of those wrestlers for me. Like, I could say like, your boy kind of wrestlers. So whenever I tweet to him, he doesn't always respond, but like there you go, like the odd tweet, and he's like one of my favorite wrestlers. I mean, you could say even like even if I watch ROH, he'll be my top favorite wrestler over there.
But I mentioned this because the Suzuki US tour, because this guy had two options. Okay, either stay in Japan, work the G1 tournament, and get just 8 points, or come to the US, work all these indie shows and AEW and Impact, and just have fun and get that crowd reaction you were waiting for the last year and a half.
Yeah, and he was just recently announced for Impact. So there are a lot of dream matches as it is, even in Impact for that matter. And he is a staple in GCW, and he's working like dates in AEW and of course New Japan Strong. So this Suzuki US Tour 2021 is like I don't want to call it a fever dream, but it's amazing as it is. Like you can't really say more than that.
If there's one who has favored a lot with the Forbidden Door, it's this guy.
Easily.
And let's put the World Championship on him finally when he goes back to Japan.
I don't think they will, because he's not an officially signed wrestler to New Japan. He's still a freelancer, and New Japan tend to not put the titles on people who aren't contracted to them. And like for example, the Ibushi, all these years he was wrestling for New Japan. He wasn't like always the champion. I mean, in junior levels as an IC champion or junior heavyweight champion, he was there. But as a world champion, they were always reluctant because he wasn't officially contracted to them. But once that happened, and the 1 year later, he was their world heavyweight champion. So
But
I
anyways,
mean,
man,
I personally wish Suzuki becomes the world champion, but it's not gonna happen very easily.
yeah, we would end up with a second evil title reign.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you. By the way, let's get into the highlights. Like we said, the crowd was very much into this. Holy shit chants from the get-go. They really do some great pure wrestling, man. Great pure wrestling in the first half. And then we get into the strikes and Suzuki just being heelish throughout the match. I loved it. Like, Danielson is like the super over baby face here. Suzuki is just being Suzuki with the crowd. And at one point he just kind of just did the shish to the crowd. I loved that. So like I said, great pure wrestling from the get in the beginning parts, and then we get into the strikes. So at one point Suzuki just killed Danielson with a forearm, and we see holy shit chants again. And then they go out to the outside, and Suzuki was just kind of targeting Bryan's arm, and then more pure wrestling. And and then you brought up this point where they were doing the what do you call those spots? Yes,
Spots.
yeah, like Danielson was kicking Suzuki, and Suzuki was no holding those kicks. So this, and then there was another part where Suzuki was the one who was kicking Danielson, and Danielson returned the favor here, so he was no setting those kicks. So then we see some great exchange of submissions, like Suzuki was going for the sleeper, Danielson went for the cat mutilation ones, and then he was going for the lapel lock. And as we get to the final parts, like they're going into some quick exchanges. Danielson hits the Busaiko knee, and there you go, got the victory. Really great match, man. And I can say this was one of the best AEW matches this year.
This year, easily. Like you could rank it in a top 5 or top 10 list easily. Like this match, man, it's one of my favorite matches this year. I can easily say that this is so good.
This
And yeah,
finally, it's
continue.
great to see that The AEW audience finally got to see the real Suzuki after all these appearances.
Yes, this was his third match in AEW, right?
Yes,
Because first was with Moxley, was a little underwhelming.
it was an
It was
incident.
good. Yeah, the Suzuki incident. Then the hardcore tag match was also, it was, I mean, it was fine, but it was just there. But man, oh man, this match was hands down like fantastic. Do you reckon Melzer would give it 5 stars or something?
4.5 is good, man.
Yeah,
In
even
terms
I
of
feel the
measure,
same. I mean, I would love if he just gives 5 star and just infuriates the crowd even more, infuriates the fans even more.
yeah,
But like this match was also, you could say, good for the crowd involvement, because at one point, when Suzuki was laying in those running kicks to Bryan, and then Bryan was just there, yeah, and then Suzuki just hits him again, and Bryan just there, like, give me more, and Suzuki just goes like slowly runs and gives him like one like dastardly kick, and Bryan was just trying to go for a comeback, and then he just dies, and Suzuki goes for a pinfall. That was great, and of course, like the initial before that, the exchanges of fora. Suzuki was giving Bryan chop, and Bryan was returning the favor with a knee, and later on, Suzuki just gives him a forearm, and Bryan just dies there instantly. So I mean, the crowd had a lot of involvement in this. So that's what makes pro wrestling great, right? So this match was like amazing.
yeah.
I'm marking out talking about it. So
And that's why I made the comparison of Joe and Kobashi. The crowd involvement, the dynamic of a great puro Japanese guy and a great wrestler from America. I went into that dynamic and that comparison.
yes, I actually have to like rewatch those Joe versus Kobashi matches now that you've mentioned. So
But
great time.
yeah, so how are you going to top this? I said when this match ended.
Yes, they with all due respect, I don't think they did, because like the main show, you could have put this easily on the main show and put one of the matches on the main card and to the buy-in. That would have certainly worked.
Yeah,
But
but
again, like because of the time slot that Rampage has, you have to front load it a lot more, because like probably the first 20 minutes is where you'll get like the maximum number of viewers, and then it slowly evaporates into like second match or the main event. So like it keeps continuously decreasing, and it's not much of a surprise given the ratings that they have. But most of those shows that they're doing are taped, so you could understand that, and at the same time the time slot doesn't do them any favors. And even by that sense, I feel it's pretty decent numbers that they pull out. But again, let's argue for the sake of arguing, right? Like Rampage is losing viewers soon. AEW will run out of business because of their secondary show that it's just built to further storylines than actual this thing. And what may have you.
yeah, they will get there. Maybe you change time slots or go to another night.
I'd say changing time slots would be better, but again, what do I know about wrestling, right?
Yeah, at least we are not Tony Khan.
No matter who you are, our future is gone.